Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Popcorn Mango with yours truly, Razorblade Mango. And today I'm going to be talking about Sausage Party, which is the latest Seth Rogen movie. And unlike most of the Seth Rogen movies out there, this movie is animated, and it's the first animated movie where he plays the lead character. He's been in other animated stuff like Monsters vs. Aliens. He's in the Kung Fu Panda movies, but this is his first. This is a Seth Rogen movie, like swearing, sex, blood, all that stuff, and that has his friends, like his usual gang of friends, like Jonah Hill and James Franco, Paul Rudd, Michael Cera, all those guys. And if I've never mentioned it on this channel, which would make me kind of a bad person, I guess I'll make it clear now. My favorite genre in film, out of any of them, is animation. I grew up with it, and to this day, it remains the genre that means the most to me, and the stuff that I keep an eye out for the most. Like, even next week, I'm gonna have another Popcorn Mango because I gotta talk about Kubo and the Two Strings, which I'm really excited to see. That is the movie that I've been waiting to see all fucking summer. So I'm pretty pumped for that. And I've been hearing great things about it, so it makes me happy. But today we're going to talk about Sausage Party. And it's really good. I really liked it. And when I told people about it, I think they were a bit surprised that it turned out to be so good, I guess. It's like I texted a few people afterwards and they were like, "Really? That was good?" And I'm going, "Yeah, you guys didn't like the first Red Band trailer where they had the Saving Private Ryan parody and stuff like that?" So I guess I assumed a lot of people were looking forward to this, but I guess not. But it was one of my most anticipated films of the year. One, because I like Seth Rogen movies. I think the majority of them are very funny, and I enjoy them very much. And two, it's animation. And three, it looked pretty damn funny from the initial trailer. Like, at least all the trailers for it that I've seen have looked funny. So I was looking forward to this. And it's nice, because this year's been really terrible when it comes to movies. This has been a bad year in general. Just an awful year for a lot of reasons, but for movies it's been maybe the worst. Like, I thought 2015 was bad. No, at least by now I had When Marnie Was There. I had a movie I could call a masterpiece. Out of all the movies, and I've seen quite a few, out of all the movies I've seen so far this year, I don't think there's one that I feel comfortable calling a masterpiece. I mean, some have been great. I think Hail Caesar's a great film. I think Batman vs. Superman is extremely underrated. And that's kind of about it. And Sausage Party, it comes close. It really does come close. If I were to make a top 10 right now, it'd probably be like number 3. But it's right there. It's at the cusp of it being a great film. And I'll tell you why. Because I find it really fun when movies kind of do this whole thing where they love to do like a take no prisoner style comedy approach, like what South Park what they kind of did back in the day, like a really hard NC-17 X-rated kind of humor. And that's what Sausage Party is. It feels like a really old episode of South Park, but the movie, where the movie had like tons of swearing, and they're immediately dropping like F-bombs, and there's like jokes about dick size and tight hot dog buns and stuff like that. I mean, the dick and vagina jokes just like come right at you in the beginning, and it's like, well, it gives you an idea kind of what you're in for. And I gotta be honest, the beginning of it, I was like, I don't know about this, because I was laughing. I thought it was funny, but I'd heard so much good stuff about it, and then to come in like to see it, and it was just a bunch of dick jokes about how, oh, girth is more important than length, and oh, I'd fuck any one of those hot dog buns, and then it's like humor like that. It's two things that the movie relies on in the beginning. One, the dick jokes, which get old. Two, the fact that a lot of the time they say fuck just for the sake of saying fuck, and it does get old fast. And that's a problem I have with the humor of the movie. There are those moments where it does go for the cheap joke of just saying fuck. And the problem with a movie like this, where they say fuck practically every other word, is that it can be a very lazy writer's tool, which is a problem I have with a lot of video games, actually. I mean, even good ones. That the F word starts to become like this tool where we can't really think of any clever jokes here, so let's just have them say fuck. That will be funny. Just have them say fuck a bunch of times. And there are very rare cases where I find that funny. I think the South Park movie is one of the few, because that is the joke, but it's like after this big extended period of no swearing whatsoever, and it's like a Disney style opening, and then they have Terrence and Phillip come out and say, shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker. See, that's funny because it builds up to that joke, but from the beginning of Sausage Party, they say fuck, and the joke stops kind of being funny after a while. And I was like, okay, well, what else you got for me besides that? And this is when the movie gets really interesting, when it becomes like this allegory for religion, where all the food in the supermarket believe that if they get chosen by the gods, which are just human beings shopping for food, that they will be taken to the great beyond, which of course is a reference to heaven. And in Christian mythology, any kind of religious, there is some kind of afterlife. But so one of the food gets brought back, voiced by Danny McBride, and he's basically like, no, you guys, you have it all wrong. The great beyond is horrible, and they eat you, and the gods are monsters, and it's absolutely terrible. So then, through circumstances that I won't spoil, Frank, who's voiced by Seth Rogen, is a hot dog, haha, and Brenda, voiced by Kristen Wiig, who's very funny, who's a hot dog bun, of course, and they're like a boyfriend-girlfriend team, and then they meet up with, and this is another thing I like about the movie, the racial humor. Now, there is an argument to be made about whether it's racist or not. It walks that very fine line between being funny with how it's poking fun of racial stereotypes and just being flat out racist. Now, I think, in my opinion, this movie is not racist, because I don't think it's being mean about the way it pokes fun of people. It doesn't focus so much on one group that it gets rid of the other one. Like everybody gets made fun of in this movie. Like, it is a no prisoners, open season for everyone kind of humor, and that's fine as long as you're going to be fair to everyone. And that's what I like about South Park. I mean, South Park is a very similar take no prisoners style approach, where everybody gets made fun of. So I mean, I'm not going to give away anything, but they make fun of Middle Easterns, they make fun of Jews, they make fun of Nazis, they make fun of Native Americans, of black people, of Asians, I mean, and Mexicans. The list goes on and on and on. But I don't think it's racist, because it is trying to get this message of breaking down borders in order to come together as people. And I like that. And I think that's a nice message that the movie has. And the movie continues to be this big allegory about, finding out the truth about, religion and stuff like that. And of course there's a point where, they have to make a point about how, if religion makes you happy, then that's okay, even if I don't believe in it and stuff like that, which I appreciate that they threw in there. And it's not just some big Christian bashing fest, but once the initial shock of the movie wears off, and I'll get to that in a bit, once the initial shock of the movie wears off and you kind of, think about the whole political allegory, religious allegory, stuff like that, it is very, it's stuff that we've heard before. It's not, this isn't a message that is like new, and it's appreciated, but I think some people, at least the reviews that I've read, I think people have, they have kind of like given it more depth, assigned it more depth than it actually has, because I think a lot of reviewers, mistake bluntness for depth. I think, and I like a lot of reviews just say, oh, this is a very deep movie. It has such, deeply political and religious messages to say. Not really, and this is coming from somebody that really likes the movie, but I don't believe that. I don't really buy that. So, and that's just me. I was not particularly blown away by how deep it was. I mean, it's not like the Lego movie or something like Paranorman, where their messages about acceptance, being special, who you are, stuff like that. I think those movies, take it way deeper than anything in Sausage Party does. I mean, Frozen as well. I forgot about Frozen. Frozen does that very, very well. But I also mentioned that the movie is shocking. And if you don't know what this movie is by now, and they've, like, the advertising for it has gone out of its way to say, hey, this is a hard R rating. This is not a fucking kids movie. This is foul, perverse, lots of graphic, crude sexual humor, and they weren't fucking kidding, because even for somebody like me, who is not easily shocked, I'm very numb as far as like shock value goes to a lot of movies now, because I've seen so many movies and I've seen so many attempts to be like shocking and edgy that I'm like, ugh, whatever. Sausage Party is one of those very few times where they take it to such an extreme that like the extreme is here, and then Sausage Party just gleefully bursts through that. I had no idea they were going to pull some of the shit that they do in this movie. I mean, sure, you've got the jokes like, about like the hot dog, the wiener wanting to fuck the hot dog bun, because of course it's a metaphor for a dick and a vagina, which is like, all right, well, I get it, I get the joke, but then you get shit like there's really dark, morbid shit where they make fun of horror movies where you have the food being violently eviscerated by the humans. You've got humor where it's what was it, where there's like taking drugs and then it's like all tripping out and shit, and of course you have to have the drug humor, but it's very funny, and it's a lot more clever with its writing than I expected with the jokes, because I thought initially, I was like, oh god, I hope it's just not a bunch of dick jokes during the whole thing. Nope, they cleverly blend a lot of movie references. They cleverly blend a lot of like really graphic sexual shit. A lot of racial jokes that I found to be very funny, particularly for someone who is a Middle Eastern, and who's like, and one of the big supporting characters in the movie is a Middle Eastern. It's a great little satire and parody of the Palestine versus Israel conflict. It's great how they do that in the movie. I loved it. So, I mean, of course, you're going to get the people that are offended by it and think it's disgusting and horrible. And you know what? Honestly, I don't blame you. This is definitely a movie for, I guess, acquired taste. And that's weird to say about a fucking Seth Rogen movie, because normally I'd be like, well, you know what you're getting into with this sort of thing. But I think this movie, because it's animated, they're allowed to take it to such extremes that you normally couldn't do in any like live action movie. Particularly in the last 10 minutes, which are so insane and jaw-dropping that I had trouble processing the minute by minute chaos of what was going on, and I fucking loved it. I loved the ending of this movie. I thought it was amazing. Just this all out. You'll have to see it. I don't want to talk about it. I almost said it, but you have to see it to believe it. It's if you know what I'm talking about, don't say it, but in the comments. But they go there, and it's fucking glorious. And I like that. I think usually like one of my biggest complaints about anime movies would be the animation itself, but I like that the movie looks so crappy because, and it's intentionally very rough looking with its animation. It does not have like that Pixar sheen to it. It looks very rough. It looks like a dirt cheap animated movie, but that gives the dirty humor another like aesthetic to it, and I like that. It's like some really dingy, crude humor sex movie that you'd see like back in like the 70s or the 80s, and it gives off that vibe with the animation. And I thought that was cool. But yeah, I went to go see it with a couple friends last night, and we had a fucking blast. I mean, I hadn't gone to the movies with a group of people in a while. I think since Civil War was the last time, and I did not care for Civil War, but especially after Suicide Squad and how disappointing that was and how not funny the attempts at humor were in that, I was like, okay, it's good. It's great to see an actual honest to God funny ass movie with a group of friends that are all enjoying it, and the audience that we saw it with was mixed up of like teenagers and like a lot of older people too, like 60 plus people in there. I was shocked, and they were having a good time watching it. So it was one of the best theater experiences. Probably the best theater experience I've had all year. I thought it was so enjoyable. And if you know by now, just me talking about it, if this is going to be your thing, if this movie is your thing, yes, I would highly recommend Sausage Party. It's one of a kind. It's like that movie Food Fight, except it's actually good and doesn't suck, and it's actually funny in an intentional way. So yeah, Sausage Party, go out and see it. It's really good. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like what you see, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about Sausage Party. If you've seen it, cool, let me know. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and as always, have a good one, guys.